So I'm going to share something with you, and I'm just going to say that I don't know if this is true. I don't think anyone can actually know for certain. This is simply what has revealed itself to me over 41 years of being human. So, welcome to Mandy's Not So Small Talk, and I am your host, Mandy. And there has always been a part of me that knew. So, even as a little girl, I remember looking at life and feeling this deep knowing that it was such a gift to be here, to feel it all. The beauty, the joy, the heartbreak, the grief. Not despite those things, but because of them. And I remember looking at people and somehow knowing that even pain belonged here. That suffering wasn't evidence that life had gone wrong, that somehow, mysteriously, this whole thing was a gift. And somewhere along the way, I forgot. Or maybe I didn't forget completely, but I just became human. I began judging myself for my experiences. I believed I had done things wrong. I suffered over my choices, my fears, my relationships, my body, and my story. I became caught up in what it means to be human, and ironically started trying to become less human in my pursuit of healing and wholeness. And then I would remember again. So there have been moments in my life sitting with ayahuasca, walking in nature, watching my children, creating art, falling in love, grieving relationships, where I am overcome with the knowing that there is nowhere else I would rather be than right here in this strange and magnificent human experience. And then I forget again. I suffer, I question, I wonder whether I'm crazy for believing what I do, and another layer of my ego appears and another story emerges, and I become afraid. I become uncertain. I become convinced that I've somehow lost my way, and somehow I always find my way back to remembering. And I've spent years healing, reading, growing, integrating, seeking. I've sat in ceremony, I've meditated, I've self-studied spirituality and psychology and philosophy, and for a long time I thought the goal of all of it was transcendence. To transcend my humanity. To heal enough that I no longer suffered. To become more conscious, more evolved, more enlightened. But lately, I've begun to wonder if we've gotten spirituality backwards. There are so many spiritual teachings that seem to imply that enlightenment is leaving our humanity behind, as if the body is something to transcend, emotions are something to overcome, and suffering is evidence that we've somehow fallen asleep. As if we're here trying to earn our way back home. But what if we completely misunderstood the assignment? What if consciousness didn't come here to escape being human? Okay? What if consciousness delights in becoming human? If consciousness could experience anything, why would it choose limitation unless limitation itself somehow were sacred? If we are spirit consciousness or the universe, experiencing itself, then perhaps this messy, inconvenient, embodied experience is precisely what we came for. We came here to feel, to inhabit a body, to know what it feels like to have tears running down our face, to laugh until our stomach hurts, to have our hearts broken, to fall wildly in love, to become parents, to grieve, to dance in our kitchens, to experience awe at a sunset, and to make mistakes, to create art, to feel uncertainty, tenderness, joy, and longing. We came here to know what consciousness cannot know without a body. And if consciousness exists beyond this life, as I have always felt that it does, perhaps that is precisely why we keep returning, not because we failed some cosmic test or haven't transcended enough, but because being human is such an extraordinary experience that consciousness willingly enters limitation in order to know itself in a completely different way. We wanted this, and I know that sounds strange to say when we consider suffering, but I don't believe suffering means that we've actually failed at life. I think suffering belongs here too. Not because we should seek it, but because we cannot have courage without fear, compassion without heartbreak, or wisdom without actually living. For so much of my life, I've oscillated between remembering and forgetting, okay? Between knowing and suffering, between feeling deeply connected to all of life and feeling completely separated from it. And I finally realized that perhaps this oscillation isn't a problem to solve. Perhaps it is the experience itself. Perhaps forgetting isn't a failure. Perhaps remembering isn't an achievement. Perhaps they are just actually simply part of a dance. And here's the beautiful paradox I've been sitting with lately. Perhaps the only way we ever transcend is by actually no longer wanting to. And I don't believe we transcend our humanity by rejecting it. I believe we actually transcend through it. But we cannot fully embody this experience if we're secretly using it as a means to an end. We cannot love being human because we're trying to earn our way out of it. We cannot use embodiment as another spiritual achievement or another rung on the ladder towards enlightenment. So, the moment that actually transcendent becomes the goal, we've already left the present moment in search of somewhere else. So, I don't believe the opposite of transcendent is embodiment. I believe the opposite of transcendence is resistance. So we resist grief. We resist love. We resist aging. We resist our desires, our bodies, our vulnerability, our joy, our humanity itself. And perhaps transcendent isn't found in escaping the human experience, but in no longer actually resisting it. So perhaps the invitation has never been to become more than human, but to finally allow ourselves to become fully human. So stop resisting the experience you came here to have. To fully embody this life means falling so deeply in love with the experience of being human that we stop trying to become anything other than what we are right now. It means revering our humanity rather than apologizing for it. I'm so sorry. It means allowing ourselves to forget and to remember, to suffer and to rejoice and to fail and to grow and to create and to destroy and to participate wholeheartedly in this magnificent experience that we call life. And perhaps that's the piece that I've been missing all along. Participation. There is one more piece that continues to reveal itself to me. Sometimes when I speak about revering the human experience, people wonder whether that means suffering doesn't matter, or whether the way that we live and love here is somehow inconsequential. Quite the opposite. If consciousness is experiencing itself through all things, then there is perhaps no greater invitation into the awareness than realizing that there is no experience that remains solely our own. I don't believe we come here to simply play our part and then leave untouched by the impact that we had on others. So in fact, I wonder if consciousness delights in knowing itself so intimately that it experiences every angle of the story. Stay with me. Not as punishment, not as reward, not as some cosmic scorecard of good and bad deeds, but because consciousness longs to know itself completely. So, what did it feel like to be the child who was comforted? What did it feel like to be the mother who sang the lullaby to that child? And what did it feel like to be the lover whose heart was broken? And what did it feel like to be the one who broke it? What did it feel like to be the blade of grass beneath their feet? And the bird singing at the sunrise? And the cow that nourished another life? And the woman who was held tenderly? And the woman who was harmed? And the friend who stayed? And the friend who left? So, what if consciousness gets to know itself through every single rule, every perspective, every experience? And if that is true, then how we participate here actually matters immensely. Not because we are trying to earn enlightenment or avoid punishment, but because love naturally emerges when we understand that there is no true separation between ourselves and another. And every act of kindness is consciousness loving itself. Every act of harm is consciousness experiencing harm through itself. Perhaps awareness isn't simply waking up to our own experience. Perhaps awareness is realizing that we belong to all of it. This understanding doesn't make me want to become less human. It makes me want to become more reverent of being human. It makes me want to love more deeply, listen more closely, and participate more wholeheartedly in this extraordinary experiment of consciousness experiencing itself through form. And perhaps that is why I feel so strongly that we are not here to escape humanity. We are here to immerse ourselves in it completely with open eyes and an open heart, knowing that consciousness is not merely experiencing life through me, it is experiencing life through all of us. And what an extraordinary thing that is. for a little while, I get to know what it feels like to be me. And I've been thinking about it like a vacation. All right. Imagine going on the trip of a lifetime. You spend months planning it. You arrive at your destination full of excitement and possibility, and there are sunsets to watch and people to meet and adventures to have and foods to taste and places to explore. But instead, you spend most of your time sitting by the pool saying, "Oh, yeah, maybe tomorrow." And you take your time for granted. You've put off the things your heart genuinely wanted to experience. And before you know it, it's time to go home. And when you leave, there's actually a sadness, a longing, not because the vacation wasn't beautiful, but because you weren't fully there for it. There are parts of the experience that actually went on unlived, unexperienced. Okay, so now imagine the opposite. You arrive and participate completely. You laugh till your cheeks hurt, and you go on the excursions and you dance and you explore and you get lost and you rest when you're tired and you play when you're inspired and you say yes to the experiences that call your heart. And by the time you leave, you're so fulfilled. You're exhausted in the most beautiful way possible. Your heart is full. You're grateful. And you're actually happy to go home. Not because you didn't love where you were, but because you loved it so completely that there is nothing left to grasp for. You're satisfied. So I wonder if that's what being human is meant to be. What if fulfillment comes not from transcending the human experience, but from fully participating in it? And what if longing is sometimes just unparticipated life? How much of our suffering comes from standing beside our own lives while waiting for permission to enter them? How often are we saying, maybe tomorrow, while life quietly just passes us by? I don't believe consciousness came here to sit at the resort. I believe consciousness signed up for the full immersive experience of being human. And perhaps that is why we no longer cling when we've fully participated. The more completely we actually inhabit our humanity, the less we need to grasp at it. And the more deeply we actually love being here, and the less we actually fear leaving. Perhaps consciousness leaves this experience smiling and saying, "Wow, that was incredible. Thank you. I laughed, I cried, I loved, I suffered, I created, I held my children, I watched the sunsets, I danced in my kitchen, and I participated fully, completely." And then it goes home with a full heart. I wonder if consciousness leaves fulfilled when it has participated completely, not because it has accumulated enough experiences or checked enough things off the bucket list, but because it actually allowed itself to be fully touched by the ones it was given. And perhaps fulfillment isn't found in doing more, but in actually participating more completely in what is already here. Consciousness doesn't leave fulfilled because it lived the most extraordinary life imaginable. It leaves fulfilled because it loved the life that it was given wholeheartedly. These days, I'm much less interested in ascending and much more interested in participating. I've stopped trying to become someone else. I've stopped believing that healing means becoming less human. I'm becoming increasingly interested in the sacredness of being exactly what I already am, a conscious being having a human experience. And perhaps that's why I laugh so much at myself sometimes. Because one moment I'm having a profound realization about consciousness, and the next I'm crying over a relationship, sore from a massage, questioning my entire existence, or wondering if I've just lost my mind altogether. And somehow that's beautiful too. Because it means I'm here. I'm alive. And I don't believe enlightenment is escaping our humanity. I believe enlightenment is falling so deeply in love with being here that we no longer need to escape it. There is another paradox here that continues to make me smile. So many spiritual teachings speak about getting home, returning home, transcending this world in order to arrive somewhere better, heaven. But perhaps the greatest irony of all is that the only way we can actually ever be truly happy to go home is by first falling deeply in love with where we are. I don't want to transcend my humanity because I despise it. I don't want to leave early. I don't want to spend my life longing for somewhere else while missing the extraordinary privilege of being here. I want to wring in every last drop of beauty, grief, tenderness, playfulness, and love out of this magnificent opportunity to be alive. I want to stay. Not because I fear leaving, but because I am so profoundly grateful to be here. And maybe, just maybe, when we have loved being here so completely that we no longer wish to leave, transcendence simply arrives on its own. Not because we've earned it by suffering enough or meditating enough or becoming spiritual enough, but because you finally said yes to being human. And perhaps that is the secret of transcendence. It isn't found by longing for heaven or by escaping the earth. Perhaps consciousness earns its wings by falling hopelessly in love with being here, by saying yes to every part of the human experience. The laughter, the tears, the uncertainty, the heartbreak, the joy, and allowing itself to be completely fulfilled by it. Perhaps consciousness doesn't transcend humanity by leaving it behind. Perhaps it transcends through loving it completely. If there is such thing as a light body, I don't believe we arrive there by abandoning humanity or our humanity. I believe we arrive there having loved it completely. We get to be here. What a magnificent, inconvenient, heartbreaking, messy, absurd, beautiful gift that is. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already liked, press like. That would help me out. Just hit the like button down below. And if you haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my videos in the future.